All right. So it's been a while since we gone live, and didn't announce this again, but just kind of retweaking a few things and have a few things to get talked about, and let this roll through here a little bit. Come on. I wonder if this is working right. I don't know, but that's the kind of the beauty of this stuff, right? Oh. Man, hey, how's everything going? Let me know real quick. See a couple of you guys already come on. If you can hear me okay, let me know. Hey, what's up, brother? All right, man. Awesome. Man, you're all the way on the other side of the pond. Hey, Charles. Good to see you guys. Kelly. Awesome sauce, man. That is good stuff. So we want to take opportunity. Um, hey, right on. Good, thank you. Got a few things I'd like to discuss with you guys, and I'm going to open it up, of course, and it's going to be staying open to Charles. Good to see you, brother. Old Lima Charlie. To as things come in through the comments, and of course that'll drive most things. Things on the plate that I'd like to chit chat with y'all about. Any questions about the SEER challenge? Some upcoming videos and content, and of course, getting anything that you all have from your side as well. All right, man. I'm glad you can hear me all the way in Germany. Good stuff, man. Oh man, I hope you guys are doing well. We're obviously all over the states and all over overseas. We got a couple coming in from across the pond, so that is awesome to see and to hear. And that's one of the things that I'm just so thankful for in this community is that diverse background that we all have and the shared experiences coming together. And because it's not lost on me, like I'm truly thankful for the size of the channel being what it is, that I can have a lot more time to interact with so many people who subscribe and spend time on the channel, right? And I say it quite a bit, but your time is not something that can be replaced. Like I can't give it back to you. So, when you sacrifice your time to watch some of the content that we're creating here, it is truly appreciated. And I'm so glad that it resonates with everybody. Right on, right on. Good stuff. Randy, hey, bud. So, in the description of this video is a link over to the SEER Challenge. Of course, episode one premiered last week. And this next week on Sunday, shortly after my video comes out. Thank goodness there's not a scheduling conflict. Episode two will come out, and that's really where you're going to see a lot of things increase. Right, episode one, it was really a here's how everything kind of came together and to get it started. And of course, Brent getting captured. Um, Skull, man. Ah, oh goodness. But episode two, you're really going to see things pick up, and I was thankful and glad to be a part of this event, both last year when it was known as the survival games, and this year as the SEER challenge. And it resonated so much that when I was down there last year, and I told Randall, I was like, "Hey, buddy, man, I'll come down and help you next year when we do this thing again." And so he was stoked, I guess, to have me come down and help. And throughout the better part of the entire year, like we're sending con-ops back and forth and spitballing ideas, and just coming up with ways that we could make some realistic changes, and changes based off of the experience and the lessons learned. I mean, that's all part of training, right? It's conducting what's called an after action review, and you take what went right, what went wrong, and how we can do and make things better, and then you actually implement those things. And too many times I think we do a horrible job at doing that, but I think we did a pretty good job of implementing a lot of the feedback that came from viewers and a lot of the lessons learned that we had, both on screen as well as off screen. So pretty awesome stuff. So can't reveal too much about what you're going to see this weekend or the following weekends. All I can tell you is it was an outstanding event, and both competitors, Brent and Jared. Uh, Brent, obviously, current Marine, and then Jared, former Navy guy, and currently, really involved in his local community with a lot of instruction and training that he's doing out there on the East Coast. Came all the way over to the West Coast, and I know this is something that Randall talked about, uh, not only for them and me, but for everybody else, spending time and money and energy to come in for something that's not paid, right? There's no monetary value in somebody winning. It's just the experience, and it's the training, and it's the bragging rights of being able to say that you are the survivor. So it's pretty awesome to see. Let's see. Kroger's, right on, brother. Um, Heck yeah, man. David, good to see you, brother. If there are any questions though about what has happened or what kind of led up into the SEER challenge getting initiated and getting running off and started, feel free to drop something in and we can chew on that as well as any other questions that you have. But I'm just super stoked about seeing this come off. Uh, Show more support. For Tommy. Oh man, Ghost, I appreciate that, brother. Ma'am, Riggs, come here. Come here. You can't see him. Well, maybe you can see him a little bit. There he is. He's getting lonely. He doesn't he prefers it when I'm on the couch and he can get his belly rubs. He's such a good pups. Oh, Ty, man, I read through some of the comments of the video, and people, and I have no doubt that on this next episode, because like I said, man, it's going to get a little cray cray. Uh, Stoker, I'm not somebody made mention that I don't play a good bad guy or whatever, and I take that as a compliment. Like, I'm not a commie, I'm not a bad guy, I'm a good guy, and I don't know how to, especially when it's something like this. Like there was no we rehearsed a lot. Like the actual capture, we rehearsed probably 4 times, maybe 5 times, a couple times during the day and a couple times at night, doing some talk through, walk through, crawl, crawl, walk, and run and everything else. So that's pretty awesome. Roger James, good day, my brother. Hey, Mark Gator, good to see you, man. Oh, we'll touch on that. Gen X Gemini asked, "How's retirement going?" And I'm not retired, so I know it kind of looks like I'm retired because I haven't shaved in a hot minute. Um, but yeah, I'm still in. I'll probably be out certainly by the end of the year. But I'm just kind of getting started in separation process and transitioning and all that stuff. So I'll tell you, it is super weird. So if you follow my other channel, which is Bill Stoker, last week or the last weekend, whatever it was, I posted my change responsibility ceremony there. Um, and I'll tell you, I wore a diamond for 5 of the last 6 years, like just for a hot minute. And this was my third company that I was the first sergeant for, and not my phone. My phone's not ringing at 2 o'clock in the morning for dudes doing stupid things. So that's awesome. But I it's not easy. It's not easy to transition, and I'm sure anybody who's had a major career change of any kind could testify to that. That a major career change is not easy, and not having dudes in my charge anymore is not easy, and having to only focus on myself is not easy. So I'm still looking forward to it. Like the wife and I, the other big transition we'll have is we'll be empty nesters going into next year. So that's going to be kind of wild and crazy times. But we are looking forward to it, and we're trying to get figured out, where we're going to get settled up and where we want to call home, and get some continuity in our lives, and just kind of planting roots, and as well as traveling and doing some things that maybe we didn't have the opportunity to do before. We're still gonna have to work, but it's certainly not going to be the same as it was before. So when there's a job to do, he's stoked. Heck yeah, my man. I dig it. Oh, let's see. Man, Charles, I am. I'm standing fast. I'm marching time right now, and it's certainly weird. Again, I haven't given the command fall in a week, and that's kind of weird. I haven't given the old knife hands to anybody in a week, and that's kind of weird. Super duper weird. It is not easy. Yeah, absolutely, man. Trying to enjoy it. So we got a small gathering here, and I'll say this a couple times, depending on when folks come in and go out, and I'll leave this offer for up. Uh, so probably within an hour to an hour and a half after I get out. If you would like, let me try to get one here without messing it up. See if I can do this without messing it up. I'm trying to not mess it up. There we go. If you would like come on, focus now. You can do it. I can't tell if that's getting focused or not. Anyways, if you would like a Stoked Master Your Craft sticker, if you email me your address to stokermatic@gmail.com, just as a way to say thank you for your time tuning in here during the live chat, I'd be super stoked and pumped up to send one out to you. Certainly, I don't expect a couple hundred because I'm just a small channel. But if you would like one, shoot me an email. As long as I get it, like I said, within I'll call it maybe 2 hours or something after we cut the live stream. Then I can try to make sure I get one out in the mail to you next week. Again, just as a way to say thanks for hanging out, thanks for being stoked and joining with me on this ride. Yeah, I know a couple of you guys already have some. So sending overseas, that'll be tough. I will go to the post office and I will see how much it will cost to send an envelope overseas. If it's not something that's going to break the bank, I will do it. I will do that. Oh. Man, Tom, I hate to hear that. I know this was. I meant to say something. Oh, the weather. Okay, gotcha. Um, YouTube is kind of weird about that. With how it sends notifications, it just kind of is what it is. The only thing I'll tell you is, whoever, um, because that happens to me too. But where things will pop up in my feed, like I may not get a notification, but if I'm scrolling on my feed when I'm just logged in as a user, the people that come up the most, because I'm subscribed to a few channels, but the ones that come up the most are the ones that I interact with. So definitely make sure, my channel, somebody else's channel, whoever's channel is your favorite, the way that you can help YouTube keep their content in front of you is by interacting, whether it's comments, liking, sharing, all that stuff. It matters. It doesn't necessarily impact the creator's channel so much as it does impact your experience on YouTube, because YouTube wants you to watch, and they're going to feed you stuff that they think that you're going to want to watch. So Good stuff. So, Tom, glad you're here, my man. This is outstanding. Smash it. Absolutely. Hulk smash it. And just like that, my phone's going off with work stuff that I'm going to ignore for a minute. um, so yeah, again, if it doesn't break the bank, man, I will try to send off something overseas because it's just going to be an envelope and a sticker or two. So it's good for whatever's. Let's see. So we talked a little bit about the SEER challenge, all the stuff that led up to it, and kind of episode one, just a little bit, and kind of. I'm stoked for episode two. It's gonna be awesome. I'm really stoked. I did. I worked on a couple thumbnails and did some other video. I didn't edit any of his videos, um, but I did do the thumbnail. I was kind of proud about that. So pretty awesome. Some We can transition, and again, I'm gonna drift back to any comment that's left here, and as far as getting sidebarred, which I absolutely don't mind getting pulled off track or anything. And is before I do switch over to the next one, I'm tracking that I'm coming in loud and clear. Is is the video okay? Does it seem to be, like, all in focus? I've got a brand new setup that I'm trying out here, so I just wanna make sure that everything is coming in okay. Awesome. Good to hear, man. Good to hear. Thank you so much for that feedback. So future content, I'll talk a little bit about Sunday's video. Um, awesome, man. I love I That's one of the items I have not replaced, that was stolen from me was my old Pendleton blanket. I need to get that thing replaced because I have a couple other like I have a USGI wool blanket, which is great, but nothing beats Pendleton, man. Um, so Sunday's video is going to be all about um, the types of sensors and drones and overhead, unmanned aerial systems that are used, as well as some tactics, techniques, and procedures about how to evade and defeat them. And I was debating the timing of trying to finish that up because I had a subscriber send me out some products to look at, and I got that one wrapped up this week. But that one will be the following Sunday. But then with all the latest events of balloons traveling overhead and getting shot down over on the east side of the coast, kind of made it a little bit more relevant in timing. So I went ahead and got and knocked this video out. I put a lot of work and effort into it. And I'm kind of stoked. It's a little bit longer than normal, but there's just so much content in there again about uh, the wide range of unmanned aerial systems that are out there that are used from civilian side as well as to the most expensive one that the military uses, as well as all the types of sensors and things that some of these drones can do. And of course, like we've seen, in Ukraine, I certainly saw in Iraq, drones being used to drop munitions. And I'll tell you, it's something I shared with on the video this Sunday is, I lived through quite a few alerts for drones flying overhead and other unmanned aerial systems, as well as, indirect fire and stuff. And the first couple times you get an alert, like it is that pucker factor is out of control. After a while, you end up not even going into the bunkers. You just kind of lay there in your cot or stay at work behind the desk, or whatever, and be like, if I die, I die. Um, but there is something, when you're dealing with things that you are overhead, potentially overhead, and if they're quality products, you're not going to be able to hear them if they're flying, at a higher altitude. Certainly with the balloon, like I have absolutely no doubt that if it didn't happen to fly, in front of the moon, creating a contrast, there's absolutely no chance that anybody would have known, right? It never would have made the news if there is any way that it could have been detected through signals intelligence or any of the other assets that we have for defense of the nation. I'm not sure at that altitude that there's any. I would highly doubt that there's any sensors looking up there. So I would even propose that there's a good percentage that nobody would have known. Again, if it just hadn't happened to create a stark contrast. And this is something, with on the civilian side. A lot of these drones that are out there, in order to use visible spectrum, in order to use IR, and in order to use FLIR, you really have to fly them at a lower altitude, especially on the lower budget side of the house, because the sensors aren't that great, the resolution's not that great. It's not like watching a spy movie on in the movies, but that is one of the reasons why they'll use that as opposed to relying on satellite imagery, because you get a lot closer. Well, if you go and you watch like FLIR, thermal drones are awesome. But if you go and you watch and you can read not necessarily how far away it is from the operator, but how high it is off the ground, like these things are not super high, even when dudes are hunting or whatever. All that said, I mean they're pretty awesome stuff, but I think in a lot of ways drones are, to most people, like EMPs. Like we give things a bigger threat level than probably what they warrant. Um, but I'll have a lot more than those 2 cents on Sunday, and hopefully it is something that resonates with some folks. Look over here at yeah, I appreciate that, Tom. Um, yeah, man, um, interesting. I haven't checked the news on that today. I will definitely check the news on that today. Um, and that's I was talking jib jabbing with somebody who is basically, as it pertains to the balloons themselves, and this would really apply to any aerial system. While this coming video is really on uh, visual imagery and intelligence and reconnaissance that can be gathered. This guy was like, "Hey, you know what? It's no big deal. Look at the clarity that you can get. So who cares if somebody was flying a drone with cameras over the United States?" And one of the things that he doesn't get is there's a lot more to signal or into intelligence gathering than just with visible spectrums. Even when it comes to sensors that we have for things that we can see, you know, multispectral stuff is out of control, and you're not going to get that, all the way up in the satellite. And I don't even know if 80,000 feet, how well it's going to do, other than for like agriculture and to see changes over the course of time in mapping. Um, but you have all kinds of signals e- intelligence equipment that is out there to pick up all kinds of traffic, and that can kind of get just as scary as it can for anything else, because now you're talking about impacting infrastructure. You're talking about how it's going to impact business and marketing, and as well as security, both at the individual level, at the corporate level, and at the state and federal level. So it's pretty wild stuff. Yeah, ain't no limit, Daryl, and ain't got to get any cards or anything. So go get them. A couple of those old phones you got behind you on the wall, so I can. Heck yeah, man. Those things are awesome. Oops, I got Riggs' attention. I need to get one more of these things. But these are awesome. Like there is the only way that you're going to intercept what happens on these is by splicing into wire, right? There's nothing else that's going to catch you on this thing. These things are awesome. I'm just going to leave that down for now. um, can a satellite see a balloon? In theory, I'm sure they could, but the problem would be it's just like, hey, Bum, if I take a lens, here's a larger 75 to 300 lens, good telephoto lens, and the problem is that everything as far as visual imagery that's up in low Earth orbit, um, or any level of orbit that's looking down on the Earth, they they are focused on the surface. So if you're not zoomed in right, if your apertures aren't set right and your focal length is not all set right, you could have something right in front of you and you're not going to be able to see it because you're focused on what's further away from you. It's the same thing with like the camera I'm using right now. Like if I'm in focus, then what's behind me is not going to be in focus. If what's behind me is in focus, then I'm not going to be in focus. And that's just based off of the sensors and the settings that are in the camera. And that's, right here. Imagine if something was 1,000 feet behind me, like you're not going to be able to see it at all. So they probably could, but I just don't think that they're checking that out. Man, good Robert, man, you're absolutely 100% correct. And that's the thing, when it comes to uh, being receptive of anything that's coming at you. Like if you are walking with in a sense of myopia and you have your blinders on, like I used to weld a long time ago, and when you have that welder's helmet on, like you lose all your peripheral vision. And it's the same thing in life with all of us, right? We get stuck in a rut, we get caught in the grind, and we start to lose focus and we become narrow uh, minded in our vision because we only want to focus on what we want to focus on, and or we only want to focus on what somebody else is telling us to focus on. So just imagine not only, what snuck past us, but what was the real news of last week that we missed out on because we were all focused on one particular thing. I mean, that's just how the news media goes anyways, right? It's a spin cycle of major event after major event, but man, how many events are happening around the world, let alone around our nation or our country or country, nation, same thing, right? City, state, whatever the case is. And that's regardless of where you're at. You know, there's too much information out there. Yeah, no, you're right. I do need a couple more. I do need some more. Um, I'm sure they would. Again, the thing with as far as do they show up on radar? Um, if when it comes to reconnaissance, like you have to have a need, right? And then you have to have your tools and your equipment, your sensors focused on a particular area, right? At a particular area, and if, at the right time and at the right location. And if all these variables and more don't align, like there's just no chance to find it. And I am there's probably a lot more things that are being gathered right now just based off of last week. But I think 2 weeks ago or more, we weren't really looking because we didn't think that there was a need to look. And again, this is just my own personal opinion on this stuff, but pretty wild sauce. Yeah, very true, Tom. And again, that's if you're looking, and you talking, 80,000 feet up in the air, like that's pretty stinking high. And you got to have everything again kind of dialed in. Um, so that's kind of again Sunday's video. For anybody who's joined in, I'm gonna leave this offer on the table for upwards of a couple hours after the stream ends. But if you didn't catch it before, if you would like a Master Your Craft sticker, just shoot me an email to stokermatic@gmail.com, and I'll shoot one off in the mail for you. If you're overseas, I can't make any promises because my wallets aren't that deep. If it's not crazy expensive, I will send one out to you. I would love to have some of these dudes overseas. Um, but just to offer to say thank you. It's not an offer to say thank you. It is a way to say thank you with just a small token for giving up your time and spending it here. Because I'll tell you, I learned just as much in watching and reading responses and just continuing a conversation. Like there's a lot of you guys, I remember like Daryl, man, you've been watching this channel for a hot minute. And so many of you other guys have as well. But there are a few names that I can remember tracing back 3 years on the channel, and so much time I know that you all invest here, watching videos and leaving comments and things of this nature. So it's just a way for me to give back a small token of appreciation. That's what I'm talking about, getting paid. Oh, Arnold, I appreciate that, man. I don't mind lurkers. You can lurk all you want. There's a couple channels that I lurk on, and a few that I used to that I absolutely cannot anymore. Can't do it. Um, so other than that, some other upcoming videos. I got somebody talked about land nav, and obviously I try to keep that about once a month on some general land nav stuff. But I have printed off, and I got two different sets, so it'll end up being two different videos. But one is going to be a sheet that you can download and print, and it's all to scale. Took a little bit of time and energy to make sure it would all do just right. And there's the other one. So right, there's two different scales, civilian map and 1 to 25 map. To actually work through plotting together, making, reading your map, obviously, plotting your points, developing a route to get from your insertion point to an objective, and some different thoughts and considerations. So it's going to be it's going to be pretty interactive because I'll have a worksheet and then the actual map that you'll be able to print from your own machine and be able to actually, we can, kind of do this together, if that makes sense. And I'm looking forward to that. So I'm going to try to start working on that one here before too long. I can't, with all my videos, like I could never make a timeline, as far as this is going to be out, in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I have a lot of notepads, and both digital as well as physical, that I kind of keep my ideas moving on things. And I go through stages where I'll have, several weeks of video that's already shot and put together, and other times I don't. Like right now, obviously I have this weekend's video. I have next weekend's video already done. After that, it's kind of a wash. I want to do a field sanitation slash how to poop in the woods like a pro. And I may work on that this weekend. Take rigs out and and go talk about pooping in the woods, as well as, just some basic field sanitation. Certainly an area that doesn't really get talked about a lot, right? Field sanitation, whether you're talking about, water collection as well as getting rid of black and gray water. It's just not a very sexy topic. But when you look around the world at the impact of dirty water has, and how the ultimately and truthfully the amount of deaths that happen because of things that are absolutely preventable, like diarrhea, as well as, again, how to do the do. I'm not going to teach you how to do the do, but I want to show you a couple ideas and things that I've learned and picked up along the way, to take things from a cat hole to something that is next level, and not, especially if you're in an established position, something that you can not enjoy. If that makes sense, to use a little double negative. And I actually, when I was putting together a video last year, and I held on to this picture, because I was setting a trap, um, just a spring pole snare, and I happened to have my GoPro filming at the time. And when I set in the stake, the sun was just at the right location as I was kind of bent over, and you can imagine where the sun is, right in between my legs, cupped up nice and high, um, and it looked like I was pooping the sun. I was like, one of these days I'm gonna have to use that picture, and this is gonna be it. So it's gonna be pretty awesome. You betcha. Man, I've used MRE bags as well, and we're gonna look at all kinds of stuff. So Kelly is talking about good land nav stuff. I appreciate that. And what I'm trying to do. Oh, let me move up there. I can't wink. Yeah, Michael, good stuff. Scott, good to see you, bud. Um, I want to. I also probably in the next week or so, and just want to get out with rigs and do some movement. Like beyond 600-800 meters, like let's go several thousands of meters, and just work through, you have kind of the physical, planning aspect that will work together, but as well as just getting on the ground and working through some different things, and trying to interact, or inject some additional skills in there along the way, whether it's shelter or fire, whatever the case is, or just jib jabbing and talking some story. Um, but as far as I can tell, and this is one of the things that keeps drawing me back to navigation, and why I think it is the most underrated, potentially most important subject as it relates to all things fieldcraft related, is regardless of where you're at. I know some of us right now that are watching, we're in Germany, we're all over the United States, and across the pond. If you move, 400 meters, which is, not that far, um, what you're going to have available to you to perform any other survival or fieldcraft related task is going to be different. So you are forcing conditions and variables to change. So I think too many times we get stuck in this mindset of, maybe not even a mindset, but going to a fixed location and doing the same thing the same way every single time. Well, that's great, and we should be doing these things in a static, controlled environment. But getting out and changing the environment, changing those conditions, which is easy enough to do, daytime, nighttime, right? Those are two huge different variables to have to deal with. But also working through different environmental considerations as it relates to terrain and vegetation and resources that are available, depending on where you're at, right? I'm sure you could all testify, if you're at a location, and you go and you walk 1,000 meters, which again is not far, everything can be completely different. The types of trees and vegetation and undergrowth can be absolutely different in just a short period. So when you start talking about, well, how do I make a fire? Well, if I go to my backyard or into a specific campsite, and I know that the types of woods and trees that are available, and that's all that I do, that's great. But what about moving? And that's not even talking about working in a contested environment, or just working in a regular environments. that's permissive. Getting out and I don't know. I just kind of dig it because I think too many times people will get out of their comfort zone, but it's all on the trail. And I'm a bushwhacking kind of guy. Like I'll use trails and roads here and there to kind of save some time and energy when it's beneficial. But there is something about putting yourself in a place that you feel like nobody has ever been before. And you don't have to get off, miles in order to be able to do that. You can just get off a click or two and it feels just like that. And I love it. I dig that so much. Let's see. So, as it does relate to content, one of the things I wanted to put out is, of course, any video, when you leave comments, I'm still to the point where I can respond one way or another to comments, whether I like it, whether I love it, whether I leave a comment. I do my earnest job to provide you all feedback for anything that you leave. Uh, But what I would say is like, if there's constructive criticism, like I'm all for it. I'll take it. I'm a big boy, and I put my pants on just like anybody else, and I will always take constructive criticism. And I've gotten quite a bit that I've learned from and grown from to make content better, to explain things in a different way, or to use different approaches. But if you ever have an idea, whether it's constructive criticism or something that would just be a question that could relate to a good video or feed into some good videos, always leave it here. Shoot me an email, uh, message, however that you do you in order to do that. I can never promise that every idea is going to make it into a video. I mean, there's only 52 weeks a year, but this year I'm going to try to really double down on some things, and I think we've already kind of seen that on the channel. There's been a lot more content, even just this year alone, and trying to inject and using shorts and posts and a couple extra videos a week, as opposed to just the mainstay on Sundays, and of course keeping up with tactical virtue, talking about ethics and things of this nature. And that resonates with some people, and with other people it doesn't. And I mean, that is what it is. But I think talking task and purpose. It's one thing to talk task, but if you don't have your purpose right, all right, if the why is not right, if motivation is not right, that's where community really is, and that's where a bond grows. Is not, can we all do the same task the same way? And I'm not here to generate, entertainment videos. I mean, maybe things will emerge and change one day where things do become all narrative and things of that nature. But I hope not. Like, I want to keep discussing and growing in myself as it relates to all these tasks. But I think what really makes a better, more cohesive unit is not that we're a unit, community, is that story, and that story has a foundation. And if it's not founded on what's good, right, and decent, then what the hell good is it? So I try to be extremely intentional on keeping that out at the forefront of, this is who Stoker is. Like when you spend time and we're talking about tasks, or land nav or survival, field craft, whatever it is, looking at gear, that there's a person back here. And I think that, and just like with you all, behind your screen names, you have screen names, but there's more to you than your name. And Brent Dean, man, I'm so glad. I think I'm. Well, yeah, man, you're awesome, Brent. Um, it. Anyways, I just feel that that's important to keep, story and virtue and value at the forefront, and it's not the primary thing, but isn't it in its own way, right? Um, so there's that. But again, if you have anything, questions, content ideas, this is a perfect place and opportunity to throw it in, and we can jib jab about it and drum up some different stuff. And again, I was at uh, I was a Mescalero reservation. So we had La Pan and we had Mescalero close to where I grew up at, and we because my father's trade being in leathercraft, we used to spend quite a bit of time on the reservations. Both, my dad, being kind of a vendor for powwows and stuff, but because of his trade, being in the leathercraft business, when they would kick all the other vendors out and they would kick all the white eyes out, they would always let my dad, my brother, and myself stay, and that was pretty wild. And there was the old announcers, man, every single time. It could be at midnight, could be at 10 o'clock in the morning, could be at 1300, right in the middle, smack dab in the middle of the day. First thing he would say is, "Good night to everybody going to bed, and good morning to everybody just now getting up." So if you're just now coming in, or you've been in for a few minutes and you have not heard, I'm going to leave this open for a couple hours after this live stream is done. But if you have not received a uh, a Stoked Master Your Craft sticker, if you send me an email with your address to stokermatic@gmail.com, and you give me your address, I will put at least one of these things in the mail off to you. Just again, as a way to say thank you for spending so much of your time. Right? We make hard earned money, but what's more valuable, right? The money or the time? And what you all do here is invest your time watching some of the content, and I just want to be able to say thanks, and I'm stoked because of it. And so I'd like to send one of these out to you. So there's that. So let's see what else we got here. Make sure we didn't miss anything scrolling up in the old chat. Let's see here. David says on the Amazon page, it's hard to find land navigation stuff on it. I'll double check. I should have a list. Um, at least I thought I did. If I didn't, I will definitely get that squared away today for all things navigation based. It's not like the old page. Yeah, I'm not sure, David. But I will go in and double check. Brent, I'm so glad that you got your sticker, bud. And it's on your car, right on. It was crazy. I had a dude that was actually local, so I delivered it to his Amazon box, without postage. But that's pretty wild. I am planning on as far as upcoming events. We talked quite a bit about content that's coming up between this weekend and the next few weeks, and some things that I haven't worked on yet. But one of the things I am going to plan before I get out of this area, which will be sometime this year, I will be departing the upper left coast, is doing I already have some planned events with a local community group volunteering some time, and they invited me to come out and teach. The first one is a rope and shelter class, and then that's in Kitsap County, just right across the bay by Bremerton, Washington. And then I have to go back and teach a basic rappelling course to some groups of people there. And before I leave here, I'm going to, with every ounce of energy, make sure it happens, conduct an in-person land navigation course. And I'll probably do that at a spot where I did a video that published probably December, maybe November, when me and Riggs went out camping and had a flat tire. And that was kind of the whole reason I went out there, was to just kind of get a scout out and recon an area that was uh, in close enough proximity to both Olympia, Tacoma, and all things Seattle to be accessible. And I think I had the spot down, and the area is good, and I already have all my resources ready to go. It's just a matter of trying to publish some information, with maybe 4 to 6 weeks in advance. Um, and so I'm definitely looking forward to that, because I do love teaching, and hopefully, once I get settled, wherever we end up at, I can do a little bit more hands-on instruction and training, and just spending time, with dudes mano a mano, or however it works out. Um, Certainly looking forward to that. Arizona, man, one of my first girlfriends lived in Glendale, and I spent a little bit of time up in Flagstaff as well. Beautiful state. So, um, live streams themselves have been a little bit more infrequent, and I'm going to try to increase. And I will try. I think there might be some value in just making even just a community post the day before or the day of, so that there is a little bit more awareness, because you might get a notification of a post, but you may not get a notification of anything else. So I'm going to try to do a live stream. I think maybe once a month. I don't know, but I'm going to play with it a little bit more this year, because for me, like, um, a video may get X amount of people, but there's no real interaction with dudes other than in the comments below, jib jabbing back and forth. But here, at least there's a little bit more of a sense of community and interaction with everybody, which I value so much. So we'll try to keep doing that. Man, Saipan, dude, that is awesome. Oh man, okay, yeah, but I got you. Close to Sierra Vista, I imagine, down in southern Arizona. Man, that's some high desert. Um, Tombstone's a interesting place. Right on. Yeah, no, I'm glad you did. It you know, again, just jib jabbing back and forth, and there's no, like, it. If you saw all the video I have to cut out of a particular project, whether it's dead space, it's breaks, it's cuts, it's reshooting, it's refilming, it's it's all the expletives, it's all the dadgummit rigs. Because that dude, I tell you, like, he's sleeping right outside the door. He's laying down because he doesn't want to be too far away from me, but it's too cramped up where we're at in here. Um, that dude, like, I can't film like the first hour of getting out of the truck. I've done it in the past, and I've told myself I can't do that anymore. Like, as soon as we get somewhere, I have to run him. I have to throw a ball. We got to play stick and fetch, and even that's not enough to calm him down. Um, because that dude, like, he just wants some Stoker time. He just wants dad time. He just wants to play ball and stick and chill and hang out and run. And he's still got so much energy in him. So he's just now um, beginning to enter the phase of not being a turd pup. So he's kind of growing into, for German Shepherds, into the adolescent, into young adult phase. So I'm also looking forward to that. But he absolutely loses his mind. Gone for the day and come back at the end of the day and open the door. Man, he absolutely loses his mind. Like, it's all I can do to give Mrs. Stoker a kiss, to sit down on the couch, to have him all over me, all 100 and however many pounds he is. He thinks he's a lap dog. I swear to God, he does. He thinks he's a lap dog, but he is no small lap dog. But he is outstanding. Yeah, I dig that. Um, oh my goodness, 1:13 in the morning. Yeah, that's you know That's super early or late, depending on how you look at it. But I dig it, and so yeah, either whether it's during a live stream or again, an email, a message, however that you message, because you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, whatever. I don't do anything else. I did run a TikTok, but that was more army stuff, and I don't really TikTok anymore. I can only deal with so many media outlets at a time and keep up with it because I don't have a crew, right? I don't have producers, editors, videographers, social media people's like it's just me, uh, and I can only do so much. But I certainly enjoy it. Man, he has so much energy, Brent. So much energy. Yeah, I one of the things I would love to do. I don't know how to do it. So if you know my timeline is really fluid between now and the rest of the year. I don't have a fixed retirement date, and I'm not going to have one for a few months, and it'll be kind of a short flash to bang whenever that happens to get transportation set up and to get moving. But depending on exactly where we decide to go, which is narrowed down from mountains of Tennessee up to Pennsylvania. Criteria, obviously, job is a factor. Mountains, at least hills, trees, water, public land access are all big important things. That is where we're gonna try to end up going. And we have on the wife's side, on Mrs. Stoker's side, we got family in North Georgia, and we got some family in Tennessee. And we got tons of her family up in PA, and I have drugged that young lady all over the world, all over the world, going all the way back to 1997 BC. That's before cell phones. Man, I'm really starting to feel like I want to talk story, and because it has been quite the amazing ride. But I have drugged that lady from where we met overseas to North Carolina, Virginia, Alabama, Texas, Hawaii, here, and a couple other places in between. On top of having to leave home for 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 4 months for training, let alone three deployments. So it's been pretty wild and crazy. So wherever she wants to go, but she doesn't want to go places just because that's what she wants. Like she's not, selfish or anything. Like she wants me to be happy and for us to be happy. So, but pretty much, wherever I want to take her where she wants to go is kind of my offering to her again to say thank her for her time, right? 26 stinking years. Um, Absolutely. Man, I hate to say, Mark, that I hope that I never go back to Sierra Vista. I was there last time I was in Sierra Vista um, was 2013. When I was competing for NCO of the Year competition. Well, no, I take that back. I went back a couple years later for some training events that I had to monitor. But I mean, I had a good time. Their time before cell phones. I mean, I, I really want to. There's a story of how I met my wife, and I'm going to end up at some point in time. I got to put this thing on video and capture it um, because it's absolutely retarded. It is absolutely retarded. It's the greatest story that you've never heard. And for the 26 of you, if you have a few minutes, I'm going to share the greatest story that you've never heard. Mrs. Stoker hates me telling the story, but it's all true. And before I get going again, if you've just clicked on, oh, I just lost five of you. Ha! Five of you don't want to hear the greatest story. Five people are not going to hear the greatest story that you've never heard of. I love that. Um, if you just if you just signed in and you'd like a Stokermatic Master Your Craft sticker, All you have to do, and I'll leave this option open for a couple hours until I get off of this, and then I'll cut it. That way, I don't have dudes like in a month from now. "Well, can I get my sticker?" No, couple hours. Just shoot me an email to stokermatic@gmail.com. Guaranteed, if you're US, I know I can get this off to you because it's only going to cost me the cost of the sticker, and a stamp. If you're overseas and it doesn't break the bank and I don't have too many or whatever, then I will do everything that I can to send this off, just as a way to say thank you. So good stuff. Let me look at this again here real quick. Eastern Tennessee, yes sir. Man, looking forward to getting to looking forward to it. And I love Eastern Tennessee, and then Western North Carolina. But I'm also mindful of we're also mindful of taxes, which makes Tennessee a good state for us to move to. So in 1995 BC, again, it's before cell phones, young Lance Corporal Stoker was in love. I'm talking, I was engaged to this female who I would say is at least a 9, if not a 10, was way out of my league. And she got stationed. I was a Marine, so she got stationed at Camp Lejeune, and I got orders to go to Okinawa, Japan, otherwise known as the Rock. And then this is no big deal, to have an overseas relationship because, when you are in love, what is distance? So back then, we didn't have cell phones, so I had to write letters, which I did each and every single day. And then once a week, I could go down to the duty desk and I could use the DSN system and call back to her barracks. And somebody would go up and knock on her door. She'd come down and we'd talk for maybe 10 minutes. Not a very private conversation. So it wouldn't steam a sauce, but it was good. Now that went on for a few months, and I'm right again, man. I'm writing letters each and every single day. It's no wonder my handwriting sucks because I was writing so much back then. And after a couple months, I stopped getting a letter each and every single day. It went to like every other day, and then to every third day, and then to every fifth day, and then the letters stopped coming in. Well, what could I imagine? The only thing that I knew that had to have happened was that my fiance got in a car accident. She's sitting in a hospital. She's got casts on both arms. That's why she can't write a letter, right? Because you can't write. She's got cast on her legs, which is why she can't walk down to the duty desk and answer the phone. And it was too much stress. It was too much anxiety. So I told my team chief, my team leader, Sergeant Price, I was like, "Hey, Sergeant Price, my fiance got in a terrible car accident. I have to go check on her. She's in the hospital. She can't walk. She can't care for herself. I need to go." So I took 10 days leave and I took a Space A flight from Okinawa, Japan, all the way to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. And I got in a cab. We got on base, and I knew where her barracks was at. She had my truck. It was 1984 custom deluxe Chevy. It was root beer brown with white pinstripes, a custom headache rack, and grill guard, in a toolbox with about $500 of tools in the back. Absolutely loved this truck, and I'll try to post a picture of that thing in the community post. And I go and I see my truck's in the parking lot, and I walk up to her door and I knock on the door expecting a roommate to enter. Of course, back then, we didn't have single man rooms. We had I just moved out of a Quonset hut and out of a squad bay, and so now I was in a 4-man room. She was lucky; she only had a 2-man room. And then when I say 2-man room, there's 2 females in that room, right? Uh, I knock on the door and I expect her roommate to answer, and instead she answers the door. And I'm like, "Wait, what the hell is going on?" And I look down at her left hand, and what did she not have on her ring finger? She did not have on that $1,500 1995 money engagement ring that I bought for her. It was off of her hand, and so my heart, it began to completely, like in slow motion, shatter. And she looked at me and she says, "I just can't do this anymore." And that's when all the heart shards just fell all over the floor. Now looking back, for a few years, I wished I wish I had done it one more time, because it was pretty amazing, but I didn't because I was heartbroken. Hey, bud. And I said, "Give me the keys to my truck and give me that ring. I'm taking it. I'm taking it all back." So I got uh, keys to my truck, and I drove to the store, and I got myself a case. And a day or two later, I wake up, and I'm like, what am I going to do? There's nobody here that can watch my truck. And mind you, I only had 10 days of leave. So now we're probably on day 3 or 4. And it's like, well, just going to drive this thing back to my dad's house, who at the time lived in El Paso, Texas. I knew that it was going to be a couple day drives, no big deal. So I start driving. And as I leave town, I get up on this bridge. And I'm on this bridge, and there's this water. It's flowing upstream to downstream. And I get out onto the bridge, and I'm looking. I'm not thinking about jumping, right? I'm not thinking about jumping, but I'm looking at this water, and it's flowing downstream. And all of a sudden, it was an absolute metaphor for life, right? The past, present, and future is all right there. And I pull this ring out of my pocket, and I look at it, and I swear, nobody will ever wear you again. And I go and I throw this ring into the river, never to be seen again. I paid on that thing for another 18 months. Again, that was like $1,500, 1995 money. Inflation, hello, thank you to the big boss man. Um, and I started driving, and I get about 30 miles east of Atlanta, and my truck breaks down. So I pull over to the side of the road, and man, this thing is beyond comprehension. And again, I'm just a young, dumb Lance Corporal. So the only thing that I knew then was that I was now stuck in the United States of America. Like I'm an American stuck in the United States of America. And if I don't get back, what's going to happen, right? I'm going to face NJP. I'm going to get busted down. I'm catastrophized. I'm going to get thrown in the brig. I'm going to get kicked out. I'm going to get a dishonorable discharge, all because I got stuck of all places in the United States. It's not like I'm overseas. I'm not behind enemy lines. I'm in friendly lines, but I'm stuck, and I have no way to do anything. So I put on my hat and pick up my Alice pack, and I close the door, and I start walking. A few miles later, this truck driver stops, and he picks me up, and he says, "I'm going into Atlanta." And I'm like, "That's awesome." So I get in, we start driving, we start jib jabbing. He's a local truck driver. It's like I tell him a little bit of my story. He says, "That was your truck back there?" I was like, "Oh yeah, you saw that, right? It was a 1984. Shoot, my Mac is about dead. I'm gonna have to cut this story. I hate to do this, but I am far away from a power source, and this is gonna be crazy, finishing this thing up. But I will do it. So we'll keep you all on edge, because it only gets crazier from here. It only gets crazier from here. Again, team, if you're still here, and you weren't here before, and you'd like a Stoker Matic Master Your Craft sticker, drop me an address to stokermatic@gmail.com. I'll leave that offer open up for a couple of hours for anybody who catches this after we close off. And then after that, they can go to my website and buy one, or become a member and get something out to you if that's what you want to do. But man, team, I appreciate you guys. We've been going at this for an hour. Next time, I will start the story from scratch. We will tell it from beginning to end, and or yeah, maybe we'll do that live. But man, I appreciate all you guys. So we will keep this conversation rolling. Looking forward to seeing you down in the comments below on Sunday. It's gonna be a badass video. Until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked.